The better board that I had, the better I could skate.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
The board was the key to the whole thing. The better your board, the better you're going to ride. I wanted something new. I wanted to change something. I liked what I had, but I know I could do something better, improve it, better materials. You know, there was always something that I could improve on. People would ride one of my boards and they would just want it. They'd see my board and it's like different, you know, and it's like different than the last one. It's different than theirs, and you know, they'd jump on it and try it, and then I wouldn't get it back. At first, it was stuff I'd find in my dad's, you know, garage. I'd steal paint, spray paint, whatever kind of paint, anything. I'd steal markers from the house or school, you know, ballpoint pens worked, just whatever I could find. And then we started making boards and selling them to other guys that wanted to ride them. And, you know, so we'd make a little money here and there, 10, 15 bucks a board. And then we could afford to go buy more wood, regular spray paints, and actually put a clear on top, and it just slowly evolved, you know. So this is like the original Dogtown boards that Mir and I used to make. I used to cut out a cardboard stencil so Mir could take a Sharpie and draw the cross, and then I'd fill it in and do all the rest of the artwork. He and I used to bang them out in the backyard, you know. Jim and I were the Dog brothers, Jim Mir. I was older than the other guys, than Jim, and all. I was like 2 years older than Jim or Tony, and Jay and Shogo were even younger. What was going on was in the skate shop where DT started, kind of, Dogtown Skates, I should say. And what we would do is Jim and I'd make boards and we'd go in there and set them up. And the boards we made, our 70s models, were boards that basically we were riding. And the 10-inch, the 12-inch were boards that I was riding. And then the triplane was a warped piece of wood that Jim and I found bent pieces of, you know, 6-8 foot hunks of hardwood that were bent. So we're going like, shit, that might work. Tried it, and it was like, we loved it. We're just going like, this is awesome. And the one I brought to the shop to set up, they showed the guy at, I guess, Boulder Boards, and they just said, you know, make this. And that was like the first concave board. It was more that kind of thing, that they were taking stuff we were riding and making boards from that. So yeah, I was basically making the prototypes right out of my garage, my yard, or Kevin's garage. I was over at my friend's, Kevin Kaiser's. Before we started skating, I started skating seriously, we were riding belly boards, plywood belly boards. Nobody really knows much about the belly boards, which I always thought was kind of, I don't know. I always thought the belly boards were way more unique, you know, and we'd just sit out in the garage and just probably high on resin fumes, you know, just drawing on boards and painting them. And on my personal boards, when I started shaping boards, Kevin Kaiser and I would always have like this competition of shaping belly boards, and like, oh man, that one ain't shit, I'm gonna smoke your ass, and this one's gonna, you know, do circles around you. And what I used to do is I'd pencil it, and then I'd Sharpie on the foam, and then I'd airbrush with water-based inks, and then I'd fiberglass it. Bam, new board, you know. You know, we just put whatever we saw that we was influenced by, we'd just throw it down, and it was kind of like a lot of the boards just look like collages of stuff. I go through books of, you know, old Nazi artwork. I love Art Nouveau stuff. Always been into, you know, like animals, like birds, you know, wings, bones really trip me out, skulls. Zap Comics, always dug, like, you know, Rick Griffin, Robert Williams stuff. There was just so much, you know, album covers, like the Grateful Dead album covers, and just the lettering. You know, you got to kind of really look at it for a second and try to figure it out, you know. So I've always, that was kind of what I grew up. Those are the things that, you know, I tried to copy, and I used to draw and emulate. In '79, I guess there was a law change that you could sue the place you got hurt. So what happened was the insurance companies wouldn't insure the skate parks. So the skate parks started going away. People didn't have places to ride, so that kind of that was kind of like the, you know, death knell to skateboarding at that time. All the big companies kind of packed it in. The two guys, Mutt and Jeff, that were running Dogtown, from all I know, split and basically owed everybody, including me, Muir, you know, Beniac, PC, Shogo, money. And you know, we heard of our stuff showing up at the swap meets, you know, for dimes on the dollar, and it was just like so depressing, you know. And it was like everybody felt kind of ripped off, and I didn't want to be involved in it anymore. I guess '95, I bumped into Alva. He took me to a pool, watched him skate, and I was just going, man, this is shit, you know. People don't know, you know, had no clue about it. I was looking at skateboards, and they're all these little popsicle sticks with, you can't tell the front from the back, and I'm kind of going like, well, that ain't a skateboard to me. So I started making boards again, and found places that had wood, you know, found different kinds of paints and, you know, stuff to use, and I just started getting back into it. It was just something I missed. It's kind of cool because it's on my terms. It's my ideas. It's kind of like where I left off, like 30 years ago, and starting up again. You know, 25 years ago, whatever, and just kind of picking up on things that, you know, I remember thinking was a good idea back then. We should try this, and now I still think it's a good idea, and I'm doing it. We're trying to do a couple different things. You know, we're doing production boards and wheels, and then we do some limited edition stuff, you know, and we do 50 boards with one artwork. That's the only time we're going to use it, signed and numbered, and we sell them, and I think that's pretty cool because collecting has really started picking up. And I mean, just in like the 5, 6, 7 years that I've been doing it, it's like 10 times what it was, you know. I've like hung on to my boards that at least most of the ones that, like, from the 70s, I've hung on to them, you know. It's just something that, I don't know, meant a lot to me, and it was kind of like, you know, I don't know, your claim to fame or whatever you want to say, but it was something that we did that was important to me, that I really, you know, dug about, you know, something that I guess we went through.